Now to a story of extreme Amish abuse. Misty Griffin, who was raised in the religion, says she endured shocking sexual assault at the hands of a clergyman she was entrusted to. In this Daily Mail exclusive, Los Angeles correspondent Brandy Williams with Misty's terrifying tale of brutal religious betrayal.
He grabbed me and he tried to pull me back in the room. That was a pretty brutal attack. He was attacking my breasts, turning them, squeezing them really hard.
Misty Griffin is recalling a horrendous assault she suffered at the hands of her bishop. It was but one of many molestations she endured for 6 months after becoming part of a strict Amish sect. Misty, who was taught the ways of the religion from the tender age of 6, didn't actually live in an Amish community until she was nearly 19. After being assigned to one family, circumstances forced Misty to move, and that's when her nightmare began.
The wife was very jealous of me, and finally I couldn't take it anymore, and the bishop said, "Come live with us," to get away from that. And the bishop's wife was my friend. They had 7 children, and she had a really hard time. She had seizures all the time. So basically I just moved in with them to be their maid, and very first week the bishop started molesting me.
I want you to share with us what you did endure.
I mean, it started out kind of slow. He was kind of seeing how far he could go, just rubbing against me and touching my breast. And then it started progressing to more scary stuff, exposing himself and, getting me alone.
Misty says though she was terrified at first, going to the police was out of the question.
We don't do this sort of thing. I couldn't tell anybody. I knew I would be blamed, it would be my fault. I was the young, unmarried woman. You're usually considered the seductress if something happens like that. I was scared of the bishop. I thought he might try to kill me, so I just kept quiet.
But then Misty says the bishop, who she prefers not to name, went too far.
One morning after about 6 months, he came into my room while I was still sleeping. He attacked me in the bed, and I have blackouts in there. I can't remember everything because it was so traumatic.
Think he raped you?
I'm not sure, but he did a lot of stuff.
Misty says the abuse didn't stop there. A short time later, outside, the bishop came after her again.
You must have been terrified.
I was terrified. I mean, it was horrible. We struggled for probably 5 minutes, and finally I bit him, and I got away.
That was her breaking point. Misty had had enough and decided to report the bishop's crimes to police. But the bishop, fearing repercussions, fled with his family to Canada. They returned to the U.S. several years later, but Misty didn't know his whereabouts until 2.5 years ago, when he was convicted of molesting one of his daughters.
So he was sentenced to 10 years in prison. He's still in prison. I think he served 2 or 2.5 years so far.
Although Misty didn't receive justice for her abuse, she's happy other victims of the bishop did. But she says her trauma has taken a drastic toll.
Did you have PTSD? Did you have nightmares?
Sorry. Just small things would bring back horrible memories, and probably the nightmares were the worst.
But Misty says she is trying to move on. She's happily married and studying nursing, and she's written a book about her life.
I feel like it was to raise awareness about sexual abuse and to encourage people to come forward and report it. By reporting it, you can save somebody else or prevent it from happening again.
Misty Griffin's memoir, Tears of the Silenced, is available now. All right.